Here we go again. I thought somebody, probably nobody, would actually want to watch this. So we'll throw it up there. Little Zen grinding. Just. So when I built this thing, I was so excited from salvaging all the large ships that I had found on the planet. I rushed to build it because it's very cool. It's very fun. Fun to drive around in. You don't have to be stuck in one spot. But I didn't really think, should I? I just thought, could I? Because I don't really have a purpose for it. At least not here. This would be the usage of this particular vehicle was basically fit Shattered Hopes with enough whatever atmospheric stuff to be able to dip down into the atmosphere and drop this guy off on the planet. Not literally all at once, but to hover uh, high enough and then use build and repairs and a projector to build it on planet. If I found a nice and flat planet to go and play on. But it tends to break physics, I think. Tends to break the game every time I drive it. I couldn't interact with anything outside of ships, and if I was in a ship, it was fine last time. But anything outside of the ship, couldn't really interact with very well. At least not the character. I could interact with via menus and stuff fine, but it always breaks something. And it looks like it's about to break in half. Kind of eating it alive. I didn't even turn it off. I feel a little bad. We're just grinding away though. Oh, there she goes. Something collapsed. I probably should turn those thrusters off. They might send the thing flying. And there goes the wheels. Yeah, maybe we should do something about that. Might just crash the whole ship. We shall see. Come on, get down there. Yeah, it looks like they fell over. Should be fine. I can't move fast enough in this thing to do much of anything anyways. Works a little better when it's level though. So I'm going to try and focus on smaller ships instead of using these giant monstrosities. Ships about the size of like Spin to Win or the one in the last video, Lucky Number 7. That serve a good and solid purpose that don't need to do everything, including be home. So the hydrogen experiment was quite frustrating. Couldn't get enough thrust, couldn't get enough fuel, couldn't get enough of anything. The only thing I seemed to have extra of, after realizing it, was power. That's kind of odd. So, slowly added more and more and more atmospheric thrusters. Just running off hydro engines. kind of interesting. The best way to make a hydrogen atmospheric craft is to not really use the hydrogen thrusters. Hydrogen thrusters are stronger than the other ones, but they require fuel. We're a little tilted. Let's get back on square. Something I broke something. Something's getting repaired on my ship. Multiple somethings. Are my my thrusters must be clipping something, because they're constantly getting repaired here. I don't know what I did. I'm gonna tear this thing apart too. If I'm not tearing apart giant ships, I don't need a giant ship. And this thing is all kinds of jank, since the thrusters are misaligned and doing damaged blocks somewhere down in there. Try to get too much out of one ship. That's kind of the design philosophy that I'm gonna endeavor to avoid. Make simpler things that do something well. Because I imagine with a more maneuverable ship, maybe slightly smaller than this one, yeah, a lot smaller than this one, I could tear this apart just about as fast. And it'd be a little more fun and interactive instead of just kind of struggling for position all the whole time. And back on up for another run. Oh, this thing's getting quite heavy. Might explain why it's handling like a brick. A greased brick. If you've ever handled a greased brick, you know, more power to you. Am I falling, or is that thing falling? That thing's falling. Let's try and get these thrusters before they go rocketing off into nothing. So yeah, keeping things simpler will probably lead to more streamlined, efficient designs. Trying to use way less conveyors, and using actual blocks, like production blocks, like oxygen tanks and hydrogen tanks, and hydrogen oxygen generators, to connect things, as opposed to just being lazy and connecting everything via conveyor belts. Like, this thing was made of grinders and welders and conveyor belts and thrusters, and that was really it. But it had a lot of conveyors, this grinder ship here. Now, even though I'm staring at a whole bunch of conveyors right now, this rolling base didn't have a lot of connectors. It had a lot of very efficient usage of space, spent a lot of time laying everything out, getting things just right, and using pretty much every inch, at least every inch that was comfortable inside here. But it does have a ton of light armor blocks on it, and we're drifting. Must be way out of alignment. Yep, way out of alignment. Ooh, let's not jump out while the saws are running. And just raining pieces on the deck. There goes a gyroscope. Casualties. Can't save all the blocks. I'm just trying to save the good ones. I'm sure if I futzed with the build and repair priorities, it might help a bit. Because it really shouldn't have torn apart like the wheels and stuff first. Should have torn all these guts out first. Ooh. So yeah, this thing does make short work of large vessels though, so that's something. Let's not push it too much. Just enough to get the grinders in there. Oh, we're way out of alignment again. Should probably put that auto level script on this thing right before I tear it apart. Eh, making short work. Don't know what else to say. We're gonna clean up our mess here. Or maybe we can let the build and repairs finish up. Oh, it's getting a little weird. Yeah, we'll let the build and repairs finish up. This ship is getting quite heavy. And I believe our other newly crafted mining ship that I really like is actually on the connector that we need to use. We're doing damage to our thrusters or something. Yep, just constant damage. It still does the job. But it's awkward. It's laggy. It's too big. Alright. You sit there for a second. Ugh. Come on, game. You can do it. Alright. Turn our hydrogen thrusters on just in case. Connectors can be spooky when you park your ships on them. They can just drop right off. And one button you never want to push is the power button, which is Y by default. Are we down? We're down. We'll just leave her sitting there. And we made modifications, so we need to make it a decent color so the build and repairs don't grind it right off. There we go. Alright, see if we can not slam this thing into the deck. Ooh, she's drifting. It's all over the place. Squirrely. But lining up the connector should be a little easier. A little easier. Oh, there we go. And we'll just let that one sit there for a minute. And we'll jump in our newly made lucky number 7. I imagine I've made at least 7 attempts at a hydrogen ship. But this thing also has 7 drills. So we'll go demo this one just a wee bit. By demo, I hope I mean demonstrate, not demolish. let's see what we can find down here in the valley. And go in one of our previous holes. Or not. There's nickel. That'll work. Magnesium. Nickel. There's something over there. Silicon. Alright, so this thing has the ability to drill straight down if we want to. You can see a couple deposits on the walls. There's nickel, there's, I'm guessing, silicon. That might be something else down there. I have no idea. Magnesium. So we have to be a wee bit careful as we tip it forward and straight down. I'm scrolling a little there. And that's just to not get overzealous with the forward momentum. We're just going to break some of this rock out of the way, and then we'll level out. Spin around in the tunnel there. Mine shaft, I guess, is a better description. But for the size of it, it's pretty agile. The auto leveling script makes navigating in these inside the voxels, mining, a lot easier. Because you can kind of lose perspective of where you're at relative to gravity. But we can get in here and mine sideways real easy. And get down into deeper bits. Either vertically, drills first. And then once we reach wherever we're going, we can level out. And then slowly, I said slowly work our way in a circle to clear out a large area underground for whatever nefarious purposes, your bat cave, or maybe you just want some iron. But I'm really liking this one. I don't normally like ships with the drills in the front, but I made this stocky enough that it can spin around, and small enough with enough drills that it can really just go wherever it wants. I mean, you could. I don't dare point it straight up, but beyond that, with some modifications and a nuclear power instead of hydrogen power, this thing could just go whichever direction it wanted. A few more thrusters. But yeah, you can see we quickly cleared out a giant hole down here if we were trying to chase a horizontal vein, mining vein. It'd be fairly easy. And we can get into fairly tight spaces and slam our drills into the wall. Come on, third person view. There we go. But yeah. I'm super happy with this design. It still needs some tweaking, but overall, it's a real winner. I'm super happy with it. And it's got a very cool cockpit. Lights up the underground spaces pretty well. It has a spotlight in each direction, and then some offset lights. Just some interior lights here that provide the clean white light. Really helps finding the ore, as opposed to these crazy slashed lights. Really don't like those. I wish there was an option for no bars on the spotlights. Pretty simple request. So, like all my miners that I have made and will continue to make, this thing does have ejectors. for getting rid of unwanted materials. The stone. We really don't need stone. But we'll take some back with us. And this is nickel, magnesium, and silicon. I think we're in here. We'll take a little bit of this. We really don't need it. Well, this is one of the few ships that I built that I feel comfortable mining in either third person or first person. Usually that's not the case. I'm always scared I'm going to whip the tail into something, or I'm just not quite where I need to be. But just running on the atmospheric thrusters, which we've been doing pretty much the whole time, we were in the hole, except for when we were nose down, handles really well. And we still have 95% of our hydrogen left. We could turn our hydros on for extra lifting if we want to carry more capacity, want more maneuverability, or just more stopping power. The other thing, if I leave them on, I use less power. This thing does take a while to charge back up. After even this short run, it'll probably take like, 10, 15 minutes to charge up. But usually when you go out mining, it's because you're low on something and you're not just mining every single thing ever. So it works out. About the only other thing we did at the base here is we installed some extra hydrogen tanks underneath the main building there. And that's obviously because we were playing with a lot of hydrogen builds. And we just wanted to have it on hand. So we're actually going to leave that one on so it can burn through some of the ice and recharge its batteries. But we'll just quickly go down and look at some stuff that we built underneath the base. It's not very impressive. Sorry. Some more hydrogen tanks. Some more hydrogen tanks. More hydrogen tanks. Pardon me. More hydrogen tanks. And a bunch of O2 generators. Just a wall of them. They generate oxygen and hydrogen. So, yep, just can't even get back there anymore. Alright. Good enough. So, that's what we've been up to, or I've been up to today. It looks like they finished the crawler. With minimal casualties to the deck here. I should probably get rid of quite a bit of the deck as well. Because that's just extra blocks that I don't really need. It was only really to build the crawler, and I kind of went overboard, so... As I usually do. So we're going to leave it there. So if you watch this, and all of this... Hey, check out my solar panel. It's not wobbling. Thanks for watching.